one of the fastest growing forms of motorsport in the world. In 2005, the local drift scene took a major leap forward with the creation of the Drift Australia Championship Series. Today, we'll look back at some of the season highlights. Like most other forms of motorsport, drifting is actually a judged competition. So here's a little reminder about what the judges are looking for.
The first thing they're looking for is speed. Now, when you talk about speed, which competitor is moving the fastest? In a drift battle, that's pretty easy to judge. If the lead car is faster, he'll be pulling away. The following car's faster, he'll be catching up. Not too difficult to judge. When we're talking about line, we want to see the apexes picked up on every corner. Obviously, it would be far easier to stay out wide on a corner while drifting because the force of the car pushes you out wide. So it's important to pick up or clip the apexes each and every time. When we're talking about angle, we're talking about how sideways the car is. Easy to tell by the amount of counter steer on the front wheels. And remember that obviously the faster a car is moving, typically the less angle it will have. What's really big with the angle is also the entry. If you've got lots of angle on the entry to a corner, the judges will go absolutely berserk. Also, a few other points to remember about a battle. If the following car puts enough pressure on the lead car and makes him spin, the battle will be awarded to the following car. Generally, a pass under drift is considered a win. A pass while gripping is not considered at all by the judges. And it's up to the drivers to try as much as possible to use tactics and use the advantage and disadvantages of their cars to try and make life difficult for their opponent.
The opening round of the Drift Australia Championship was held at Wakefield Park in Goulburn, New South Wales. Some of the very best drifters from all over Australia turned up for this landmark event, the Autobahn Drift Battle. So let's take a look back at some of the action from the top 16. Michael Spencer qualified in position number 1 and took out Adam Newton from Victoria in the opening encounter. West Australia's Michael Sullivan then took on Darren Appleton from Queensland. A spin by Sullivan on the way into the very first turn of the opening run put him right behind the 8-ball. The West Aussie put in a solid drive in the second run, but it wasn't enough to make amends for his off-track excursion, and the man they call Afro Appleton was through to the next round. The third battle at Wakefield saw Matt Sampson from Victoria up against Josh Young from Queensland. The first run was a close-fought battle, but Sampson gripped up on the exit of turn 3. The second run was even closer, but in the end it was Young that took a narrow victory to progress through to the top 8. Another West Australian, Adam Trewella, then took on Mark Phillips from Adelaide. Trewella was one of the favourites, having qualified in position number 5, but a mechanical problem with his Safiro handed victory to the South Australian. Another of South Australia's best drivers, James Vahouhis, then came up against one of Australia's only female drifters, the Drift Cat, Catherine Coleiro from Victoria. Coleiro took Vahouhis by surprise in the first run, but superior speed, line and angle gave the number 3 qualifier a convincing win in the second run, and James was on his way to the top 8. Next up, it was Robbie Bolger in the incredible Kappa Holden Drift Ute versus James Vahouhis in the Nissan 180 SX. Daniel Gibson caught up with Bolger in the pits.
Tell me why a Holden Ute in amongst all the Japanese makes and models?
Mate, somebody has to show them how to do it. Like, we are in Australia, I think, so Australian car in a Japanese series. I think it's really good for the sport, and hopefully we'll see Ford here and other people soon. But basically, Paul Morris helped us a lot with the car. It's basically all the suspension is supercar, which came from Paul Morris. Kappa and Holden helped us develop the car, and we've got an agreement with Holden to do drifting for the next 2 years. So basically it's got Penske suspension, it's a C5R engine, 427 cubic inch, a vortex blower, makes 1,022 horsepower at the wheels.
Bolger qualified 6th place, which was a bit of a surprise in the tight and twisty Wakefield Park layout, but it was Mioch who got the upper hand in the first run. A mechanical problem in the second run took Mioch out of the equation though, and the big Irish Queenslander was on his way to the next round of eliminations.
Bolger! He's got a real need for speed, this dude.
Steve Brennan from New South Wales in the Nissan S15 then took on cool Kelly McKinnon from South Australia in the Burn in Hell Tattoos R32 Skyline. The opening run was a close contest, but a spin by Brennan in the second run handed victory to McKinnon. The last battle in the top 16 elimination round saw Beau Yates from New South Wales in the JVC-sponsored Pro Technica Racing Team Subaru up against Danny Vahouhis from South Australia in the Nissan Silvia. Yates qualified in position number 2 at Wakefield, but he too was caught out on the tricky downhill off-camber approach to the first turn. In the second run, Yates demonstrated the potential of the Subaru with a superb run, but it wasn't enough to make up for his earlier mistake, and a second Vahouhis brother progressed through to the top 8. A fantastic lineup then for our top 8. Michael Spencer up against Darren Appleton in a pair of Nissan Onevias. Josh Young in the Toyota Sprinter takes on Mark Phillips. James Vahouhis in the Toyo-sponsored Nissan S14.5 head-to-head with Bolger in the Kappa Ute. And James's brother Danny Vahouhis up against fellow South Aussie Kelly McKinnon. Michael Spencer struggled in the opening run, so in the second he threw caution to the wind with a fantastic entry into the first turn. He drifted wide though, then spun on dirty tyres, which handed the win to Appleton.
Get everything out, he's lost it!
Car problems for Mark Phillips saw him switch to Steve Brennan's S15 for his top 8 battle with Queensland's Josh Young. Young looked to have the measure of the South Aussie, but a gearbox problem ended his weekend, and Phillips was through to the semi-finals. The Holden hero Robbie Bolger took on James Vahouhis in the third top 8 battle. Bolger took the first leg with more speed and more angle, but Vahouhis struck back in the second run to take an 11-9 victory over the big V8s. 2 more South Australians in the last top 8 battle. Danny Vahouhis led cool Kelly McKinnon in a very closely fought opening run. An overheating problem for Vahouhis though in the second run gave the advantage to his rival, and McKinnon was on his way to the semi-finals. So the semi-finals look like this. Darren Appleton against Mark Phillips and James Vahouhis versus Kelly McKinnon. Phillips was still struggling to come to grips in the borrowed S15, and a spin handed a place in the finals to Appleton. In the second semi-final, Kelly McKinnon drifted wide in the Autobahn S's, allowing James Vahouhis to pass, and that set the stage for a fantastic final battle between 2 of the very best drivers in the country. And so now the final. James Vahouhis on Toyo tyres and Darren Appleton on Federals.
Appleton up against Vahouhis. This will be a fantastic battle. Vahouhis, the real gas man. Appleton, Mr. Consistency. The Autobahn drift battle at Wakefield Park, Goulburn, New South Wales. Look at this stuff. They haul them into the first turn.
There's nothing in this battle. Both of these guys very close together and very much experienced.
This will be a good battle. Who do you lean towards? I like Vahouhis' style. It's all or nothing.
Vahouhis has the style, but Appleton has so much experience. There's going to be nothing in this. This is a very, very close battle. Look at the angle.
Great drive from Appleton. I think he may have got Vahouhis on this one. 6-4 to James Vahouhis. So Vahouhis gets the first one. We're on board now. The K&N Filters Nissan Onevia of Appleton. Look at Vahouhis. Great style there.
Really fantastic. He's following the race line. He's got good angle and he's going mighty quick. It's all the 3 major elements of drifting are right there. If you want to have a look at how to do it, that's a textbook drift.
And this is an S14.5. We'll go into that at some later date. It's very technical. Known as a strawberry?
Yeah, the Ichigo. It's got the S15 front on it.
Well done, Vahouhis. He takes the win, 11.7 to 8.3. Vahouhis smokes him at Wakefield.
So South Australia's James Vahouhis comes away from round 1 of the Drift Australia Championship with a 16-point lead over Queensland's Darren Appleton. Mark Phillips is third on 80 points and Kelly McKinnon fourth on 71. Vahouhis' win puts Toyo on top of the Drift Australia Tyre Manufacturers Championship, with Federal in second and Hancock third. The Autobahn Drift Battle then headed off to Mallala in South Australia for the second round of the Drift Australia Championship. Beau Yates qualified position 1, but had a solo pass in the top 16, and that allowed him to give us a flying lap and explain what it's like around Mallala.
Having a force, braking back to thirds, on the handbrake entry, try not to mess it up, clutch out, third gear, all the way through the S's in third, flick back, bit of foot brake onto the main straight, off the ripple strip, flat out third gear, into fourth, through turn 1, fourth gear, back to third gear, handbrake, into turn 2. And that's how it's done.
Robbie Bolger's stunt riding commitments had taken him overseas at the time of the second Drift Australia Championship round. He was keen to keep the V8 flag flying high though, so he simply tossed the keys to the Kappa Drift Ute to fellow Queenslander Darren Appleton. Appleton came up against Steve Brennan from New South Wales in the round of 16. A spin by Brennan though in the first run took the pressure off Afro. Brennan did a good job in the second run, but it was Appleton that was through to the top 8.
Style is a big part of it, and look at this Kappa Drift Ute all the way down the straightaway.
Some more great action in the top 16 saw the 17-year-old wildcard entry Stewie Furs knock out James Vahouhis from New South Wales, and Dwayne May took on the godfather of Australian drifting, Danny Denzo Vahouhis. Aggressive driving by Denzo in the first few turns, but a gearbox problem took him out of action, and a second wildcard entry was through to the top 8. No problems though for some of the other big name South Aussies. Mark Phillips and Kelly McKinnon both through to the top 8, with wins over Steve De Palma and Catherine Coleiro. Tony Harrison and the big V8 Commodore took on fellow Queenslander Josh Young in the AE86 Hachiraku. Harrison's Holden was looking worse for wear after he hit the wall during practice. He'd done a good job to get it back on the track, but was outclassed by Young and the nimble Toyota. Having qualified in second position, James Martle was feeling very confident for his run against Michael Spencer, but a missed gear by Martle created a passing opportunity for Spencer, and the green Onevia was through to the top 8. So your top 8 will see Yates against Appleton, May takes on Furs, Phillips versus McKinnon, and Young versus Spencer. The first top 8 battle then saw Beau Yates in the Subaru up against Darren Appleton in the Kappa Holden Drift Ute.
He's borrowed this ute. He's driving it like he stole it, but Beau Yates doing the business out in front.
And Robbie Bolger, not the best bloke to offend. I wouldn't think the man who normally drives this awesome car. Now they're both on the handcooks, and look at the smoke and the style of this thing down the straightaways, the Ute of Appleton.
And now we've got the second run of this. Not only is Beau Yates keeping it tidy, but he's doing a fantastic job. Plenty of speed, plenty of angle. Look at this, nearly, oh, he's right all over the back of it.
Well, that'll get good points from the judges, almost pulling off the pass there. Great line, great style, great angle. It's all looking good. Now you can see the Kappa Ute really having to throw it all to the wind. Let's relive that last run from an onboard perspective. Now watch down this straight, Jeff. What can Yates see but basically through the windows of this ute?
You can't see much at all. There's a lot of smoke in front of him, but Beau Yates is focusing on getting an early entry, gets wide on the entry, and look at that. Plenty of early entry, and the judges are really looking for it.
Dwayne May knocked out the baby-faced assassin Stewie Furs in the second top 8 battle. And Mark Phillips progressed through to the semi-finals after Kelly McKinnon's R32 developed mechanical problems. The battle for the last spot in the semi-finals was a closely fought affair between Josh Young in the pink Toyota Sprinter and Michael Spencer in the green Nissan Onevia. Spencer's car dropped some coolant onto the track on the entry into the first turn, and that caused problems for Young on the entry. Unable to separate them after the first 2 runs, judges ordered a rerun, and it was Spencer that progressed through to the semis. Unfortunately, both semi-final battles will be decided by mechanical defaults, with problems for Spencer and Dwayne May. So the final run came down to South Australia's Mark Phillips in the R33 Skylon on Federal tyres and Beau Yates from New South Wales in the Subaru on Hancocks.
And Beau Yates very early on with the drift into the first corner, and Phillips is behind from the start.
Well, what can Phillips do with this young whiz kid? He turns it in a little hard and he's gone.
Had to have a go in that case. Yates was all over him.
It's not over. This is the last run now of the round. What can he do?
Not over by a long shot. Phillips has to really get on early here and take the advantage, and he doesn't manage to do it.
Gee, that's where the judges must look at Yates and go, yep, tick. High points right there for the entry. The angle is good for both these guys. In fact, Phillips a little better there.
That's right. Phillips is really throwing everything back at Yates. Yates isn't going to get an easy run.
Look at the smoke he's driving through into the late afternoon sun as well. Phillips desperately trying a big munger there down the main straight. It didn't come off for him. Yates again.
Yates once again early through the corner and keeping the speed. Look at how far he closed in on Phillips there.
Just great driving here. The drift battles have been fantastic at Mallala. It's a good circuit for it. There it is, the win for Beau Yates, 14.7 over 5.3 of Phillips. We'll take a bit of a look at Beau's point of view as he was chasing down Phillips in that final run. Here's have a look at how busy it is behind the wheel.
Certainly is. Throwing these cars from side to side and keeping them sideways is a really hard job. Look how much Beau has closed up on him there. He's really got the speed advantage in the Subaru.
Well, he's letting the guy do all the showy stuff in front, but now here it is. The entry just pitches it in. He qualified the #1 position, and he's been the man to beat, or the kid to beat, really, all day at Mallala. So great stuff from the Autobahn drift battle. Phillips couldn't do enough to stop the Beau show.
The car worked well today. We performed quite well through into the last battle there, up against Mark Phillips. We went into the second battle, him leading, sat as close as possible, tried to pressure him.
So having qualified in position #1 and taken the round win, Beau Yates took a maximum points effort from Mallala. Mark Phillips' second place finish lifted him to the top of the championship leaderboard though, ahead of Yates, Appleton, Spencer and McKinnon. Consistent performances sees Federal grab the lead in the Tyre Manufacturers Championship. Hancock now in second and Kumo third. The Autobahn Drift Battle returned to Mallala for the third round of the Drift Australia Championship. Darren Appleton was back in his Nissan Onevia and qualified in position #1 ahead of round 2 winner Beau Yates. Wildcard entry Leighton Fine qualified in third place ahead of Catherine Coleiro, Christian Pickering and championship leader Mark Phillips. Round 3 also saw the much anticipated debut of Robbie Bolger's latest weapon of mass tyre destruction, the awesome new 7-litre Holden Monaro driven by Jeremy Lake. We caught up with Robbie for a look at the new car.
Here we are with the Hancock Drift Monaro, which was actually built by myself and Paul Morris. I got a lot of the parts from Paul Morris from Surmay Wine. It's all 18 degree ex-supercar stuff. The only difference is they have to run 5 litre, we run 7 litre. So to a V8 supercar, they've got 630 horsepower for a really good one. We've got 845. Their car has got 430 foot-pounds of torque. Here's got 690. This manifold that we got here, and these heads are actually the heads that Greg Murphy won Bathurst with. And they came from Gibson Motorsport. It's Motec manifold and Gibson heads. Holden's been really good to us along the way. They've helped us build it, and it's sponsored by Holden, Hankook and Kappa. Thanks.
So the top 16 battle saw Appleton and the Nissan lining up against Robbie Bolger, who was back in the Kappa Drift Ute. Jeremy Lake and the brand new Robbie Bolger-owned Hankook Monaro up against Steve Brennan. Catherine Coleiro up against James Vahouhis from New Zealand. Christian Pickering up against Michael Spencer. Beau Yates and Danny Vahouhis. McKinnon versus Young. Leighton Fine versus Mioch. Phillips versus Jerome Kennedy from Queensland. An interesting first battle saw Appleton up against the car he drove in the last round, Robbie Bolger's big Kappa Ute. Bolger did a fantastic job in the first run, but an off-track excursion in the second handed it to Appleton and ended Robbie's day. Jeremy Lake was still coming to grips with the awesome power of the new Monaro, but took care of Steve Brennan in the S15 to progress to the top 8. The Drift Cat, Catherine Coleiro from Victoria, had all the right moves off track, but a mistake in the S's saw JT from New Zealand get the upper hand in their final run. A spin by JT in the final corner, though, handed the win back to Catherine.
Oh, you're joking! He's gone again!
The unforced errors continued in the top 16 battles. Michael Spencer and Beau Yates both knocked out of the competition early. Cool Kelly McKinnon from South Australia got the best of a close-fought battle with Queensland's Josh Young in the Toyota Sprinter. And then came one of the sweetest moves of the season, the battle between James Mioch and Leighton Fine, and the infamous double pass.
So often, look at this, down the inside, there's the pass, nicely done, but runs wide. Leighton Fine back, comes down the outside, and how about that, a double pass? Never seen that before, Wade.
The aggression continued in the final top 16 contest between series leader Mark Phillips from South Australia and Queensland's Jerome Kennedy. Kennedy punished his car in both runs, but knocked Phillips out of the equation. A shoulder reconstruction for Phillips after the event would see him on the sidelines for the rest of the season. Our top 8 then was Darren Appleton versus Jeremy Lake, Catherine Coleiro versus Christian Pickering, Danny Vahouhis against Kelly McKinnon, and Leighton Fine up against Jerome Kennedy. After knocking out Robbie Bolger's Kappa Ute in the top 16 battle, Darren Appleton was out to claim another V8 scalp in the top 8. Plenty of smoke for the big Monaro, but Appleton was too good and on his way to the semis. Corporal Christian Pickering marched his way into the top 4 after a spin by Drift Cat in their top 8 battle. And cool Kelly McKinnon bumped out fellow South Aussie Danny Vahouhis. The last top 8 battle saw the flamboyant Jerome Kennedy up against Leighton Fine and the Hachi Raku. Kennedy continued to display the aggressive driving style he's famous for, but Leighton's speeding Fine got the upper hand and booked the final spot in the semis. So the semi-finals saw Darren Afro Appleton in the 1-veer from Queensland up against Corporal Christian Pickering in the 180, and cool Kelly McKinnon from South Australia in the Burn and Hell Tattoos Nissan R32 up against Leighton Fine in the Toyota Sprinter.
Top 4, you pleased about that?
I'm wrapped. So certainly better than last time I was here. But yeah, the car's going fantastic, and it should be good.
Well, congratulations, mate. Through to the top 4.
Yeah, it's a big weight off my shoulders, straight through. Hopefully I can get a position home now.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that so far, being a wild card, so it's good to come in and make an impression on everyone.
Now, you're a local lad. You know the track fairly well?
Yeah, very well. It's home track, so it's good.
Who are you up against?
Kelly, 32.
Battle 1 for the Autobahn Drift Battle at Mallala.
Oh, Corporal Christian, pull your head in, son. They're looking for wood. Here we go now, Corporal Christian with the lead. And Darren Appleton, probably the master of taking the following line there, and really makes life difficult for the leader.
Well, the Corporal doing a heck of a job. Oh! Oh, little bit of a push just then, a bit of understeer, and Afro with it all fully lit on the Federals.
You better believe it. How about the angle from Afro on the speed? It was blinding. Here they come now up to the last bit of the track here, the SAS sweeper. Now check out Darren Appleton. Always takes a nice tight line through there, and once again, does it.
Second battle now, off the course. Pressure really putting on him now.
Yeah, for sure. Look, trying to get that little bit of extra wheel spin by dropping the tyre off onto the dirt turbo as it's called. And how about this from Darren Appleton? Look at this. Go to school, kiddies. Have a look at that. Uncle Darren's going to teach you how to drift.
I was going to say, it looks like Dad's kicking your butt out there at the moment,
doesn't it?
He's doing a heck of a job. He's got the world's ugliest helmet. How about this guy now really putting the pressure on Corporal Christian? Is it going to be enough, though? Afro, can he get to the finals? Well done, says Afro as he shakes the Corporal's hand. Well, there's the point score right now, an 11-9 victory. Now, the second semi, Cool Kelly McKinnon on the Federals up against Leighton Fine on the Bridgies, the Crab they call him.
Watch out for Leighton Fine takes the lead here. Watch out for Kelly McKinnon with the big faint entry.
A couple of South Aussies right here going at it, so it'll be a popular result either way. Cool Kelly, a bit of a push there, or under, and you see at the moment, Leighton getting it on.
Oh, how about this from Leighton Fine? Superior speed. Kelly with the bigger horsepower having trouble keeping up.
This is not what we expected to see. Leighton's got a good flowing run going here. He lost a little bit of speed there as Kelly got all over him. And look again, McKinnon not getting the best of this run.
No way. McKinnon's off his game, or he's struggling for setup. One of the two here. Leighton Fine, I'll tell you what, making him look second hand there.
Second battle now. This is crucial for Cool Kelly McKinnon, the Delhi boy. What can he do? Leighton right behind him, as you said, will let him run, but he's all over him now.
Yeah, Leighton let him run, but then gathered him right up. How about the speed coming in? The speed on the entry is what the Hutchie is famous for. It can really carry the speed through those corners. Let's check it out once again.
Up in the top right-hand corner is a SAS on board. That's what Leighton Fine is seeing. You can just see Mungie all the way there for Cool Kelly. He's got to pull out all the stops to get the most amount of points.
He absolutely has to. He's in a bit of trouble so far. Now let's watch what Leighton does coming up now. Look at him gather him up. How about that? He timed his run to perfection.
And there's the win. Convincing. A 13-7. He belts one of the big guns. Here we go. Underway. The final battle now for this amazing weekend. The Drift Australia Championship. Leighton, a big entry early, and Afro right there with him.
Wasn't it ever? Look at this. Afro is not going to let this kid out of his sight. He knows he can't afford to. Now check out Leighton there. Whatever he is doing, Afro is doing it just as well. A little bit under there, but nothing too major. And onto the main straight. Look at him. Look at the way Afro hung onto that drift coming out of there. Fantastic stuff.
Careful to set himself up for the corner now. He backed off a little bit to allow Leighton. Oh, he's gone!
Oh, I can't believe it.
What happened to Afro then? He's like he's trying to get a gear or something then. Well, the second battle, and Leighton Fine has the upper hand. The kid from South Australia with the backyard car up against Afro.
And once again, Afro at a disadvantage here because he's in the lead. He can't affect the pass. He just has to sweat on a spin now.
Here we go through the Autobahn S's. Afro's got to go all out for it. Leighton is going to do what he does best. He's just going to be rock solid.
He sure is, but look at Darren Afro Appleton. He's not going to take no for an answer here. Watch him in the second part of this course. Plenty of smoke. How about the entry once again? Clips the line, doing everything right, but Leighton Fine, very consistent run through, and this is going to be hard to toss.
What can he do with Afro Appleton? Judges are conferring. This is going to be an awesome final. Where's the win? Leighton Fine is a giant killer here at Mallala.
Congratulations, big fella. How's that feel?
Great. It's yeah, a bit of a surprise, but something different.
Oh, it was great until I couldn't get the speed down the straight. It fell onto 3 cylinders and it wouldn't go, and I had to go early on the handbrake and I stuffed it up, lost my momentum.
Yeah, what a boilover it was too. Leighton Fine taking the round win on the day over Appleton, Pickering, McKinnon and Coleiro. But Appleton's consistency, very important. He takes over the lead from Mark Phillips in the championship at this point, from Yates, McKinnon, Spencer, Young, Vahouhis and Driftcat in the top 8. Tyre manufacturers wise, Federal very consistent over Hancock at this point, from Bridgestone, Nexon, Kumho, Nankang, Dunlop and Wanley.
There'll be more drifting after the break.